Well, good morning, Jennifer. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's bright and early here in Minnesota, and you're coming to us live from where this morning?
My parents' living room. How did I look? And it's gloomy
Looks great.
outside. No, I'm on a road trip, so I'm away from
Awesome.
home.
Awesome. Well, for everybody watching today, would you mind just introducing yourself and telling us who you are, where you're from, and a little bit more about your business?
Sure. My name is Jennifer Little. The studio is Little's Photography, and we're in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Okay.
And we've been in business since 1996. So right now,
Wow.
I think that's about 26 years. Started
Awesome.
as a family business, and we went pretty strong as a family business for about a decade. And
Okay.
then, that gets a little tricky. So we ended up dividing, and now I'm just in South Florida. My sister has a studio in Orlando.
Okay, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Julie Little.
That's
She's awesome.
awesome.
We look like
Awesome.
twins. We're not the same person.
So, just for everybody watching here that has never met you before, tell us something interesting about yourself just to get this party started here.
Let's see, something interesting about myself. I don't know how interesting it is, but what's right there for me is that I really love to make a difference for people in the world.
Hmm.
And I know that sounds silly, but it's things like I moved into a new neighborhood and started a Facebook group for the neighborhood and have thrown like 3 parties in the last year and a half. And yesterday, somebody delivered flowers to my door to say thank you.
Oh,
Like, I
that's
just
awesome.
like doing things that bring people together. And
That's cool.
I get a lot of fulfillment out of that. I'm also a foster parent, and except
Oh,
now I'm a adopted parent. We adopted
okay.
our daughter after fostering her, and she's
Cool.
a miracle and wants to work in the studio already, even though she's
That's
only nine
awesome.
years old. But a lot of people know that about me. But I just love that kind of. Somebody said to me at a luncheon the other day, she's a photographer who knows me, and she's like, "Oh, girl, you're like such a boss lady or a baller." I don't know. She used some kind of term that didn't really sit with me. And I was like, I don't know why people see that. But the next day, my husband read me this quote, and it said, I really just like to build things
Hmm.
and do things in the community. And I mean, it was said better than that, but it was from, is it Rockefeller?
Oh,
Norman
yeah.
Rockefeller? Is that his name?
I think so.
I think so too. And I was like, that's what I like. I like to build
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
I'm not
That's
trying to
awesome.
do anything other than build something that is valuable to others and myself.
Yeah. That's a great quote right there, Jennifer.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
Yeah,
I
for
really
sure.
related to it. I wish I had it in front of me. I didn't know I was going to say that, but it's a really good quote. I'll see if I can find
Sometimes
it.
sometimes it's the best things that just come out like that, that just like, wow, this pops in and now we're talking about it. So that's awesome. So over the years, and you said that you've been in business for 26 years, that gives you a lot of time to try different things. So if you were going to pinpoint one thing that was your most successful business idea, what would that be? Do you have one that sticks out to you?
Yes, I have the top one. There were several,
Okay.
but the top one was actually my father's idea. He's David
Okay.
Little. In
Okay.
fact, he knew I was doing this interview this morning, so I've been in this interview for 2 hours earlier today with him. But he started when we started. He was what we ended up calling a wrangler. Now we
Okay.
made that term up, so I don't know if it's going to translate to other people, but basically he took what at the time seemed to be pretty stiff and staged family portraits, this
Yep.
stuff.
Yep.
And he created such an experience for the clients. And we controlled all that by saying, like, you're going to want to do what he says. You're going to want to take the direction. If he says do this, just do it. Don't, we prepped the client a lot so that
Hmm.
when they got to my dad had people doing things that was just at the time unheard of and so fun. I wish I could flash up some pictures right now, but
Yeah.
so fun that people talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. And it seemed at the time we were at least 10 times more expensive than everybody else, but we were packed because it was so
Mm.
different. People have since caught on and made photo shoots more of an experience and things like that.
Yep.
But he did that by creating a team of two. So we
Okay.
almost always shoot with a team of two, especially when there's small children or big groups. And
Hmm.
one person is the wrangler. That's a lot of times
Got it.
me in the role. And our job is to keep it moving, make sure that whatever we're trying to communicate to the viewer of the image, that communication comes from the Wrangler. So if
Okay.
so for example, let's say what the mom really wants is just a really close, loving family portrait that shows that they have fun together. And then
Yep.
you look at the 17-year-old boy and he's got his arm around his mom, but there's like a fist over here,
Yeah.
right? It's the Wrangler's job to just go over there and, reposition the hand and say something fun, get them to, enjoy each other for a moment so that
Yeah.
the photographer can capture the message that we want the viewer to get when they're looking
Yeah.
at the image. And so
So
we've just stayed with that, developed it over time.
So the photographer then can just concentrate on the light, the technical side of it, and the Wrangler does basically is the entertainment.
That's right. The Wrangler is the leader. It's your job to get the shot. The photographer better not miss that shot.
Or there will be hell to pay.
There will be hell to pay. Yes. Nice as I am, I have done a couple bops in the back of the head. Like, I can't believe you missed that shot. Now I got to do all that again.
Right. So as you're looking into the next year, Jennifer, I know, you run a very successful business. It's been, in business for a long time. People who are successful are usually planners, and they run their business like a business. So looking into next year, what are some things you've got up your sleeve? Do you have a plan?
Yes, I do have a plan. And, it's funny that you say that because we were successful early on because I was really good in sales and the product was really good, but we had no idea how to run the business. And it took a long time for us to figure that out. So what's happening over the last, I would say, year and a half is kind of like a reworking of the business. So pulling all the slack out of the business. And hopefully this sticks to the question, but basically what we realized is we are too people dependent and not enough system dependent. And so we had great people. We still have great people. I have people who work for me for 10 years and, we don't have a lot of turnover or anything like that, but it's so the systems weren't clear. It was kind of like, oh, she does that job. Oh, he does that job. So now what we're at work on is an organizational strategy, position agreements for each person. And even though we're still in the process of it, it is already making a pretty miraculous difference. Yeah. So the strategy isn't marketing. It isn't what clients are we going after? We have a lot of clients. The strategy is how do we make the systems so clean that it's people that run those systems versus just having great people.
Yeah. And that's going to make, once you get all that in place, that's going to make your ability to grow substantially larger because you'll be running so efficiently.
Exactly. And it's fun. It's a new kind of fun. Never had this kind of fun before.
And I think as human beings, speaking for myself, like I like to know what the expectation is. I can remember being a little kid and, going to a friend's house and my parents would be like, okay, this is what we expect of you. And I knew if I jumped out of that, I was going to get a whack to the back of my head, or something, and I think that it's just good to have that because then people know their clear path instead of, oh, well, today I'm going to have you do this. Well, I don't know how to do that. Okay, we'll just figure it out, and I think that happens a lot because we as photographers and we as artists have a hard time with that organizational end of it.
Absolutely. And can I say something that I think will go along with the point that we're making? Is that for years, it was like, I wanted everybody to be happy. I wanted my team to love working there, to be happy, be creative. So I didn't put a lot of accountability or expectations on them because I thought it would make them unhappy.
Yeah.
So now I'm learning that that was a mistake. That was a mistake that lasted a long time. Because really what you just said, what makes people happy is to know what's expected and that they can see that they're performing up to standard. But if I haven't set a standard, how would they know?
Right.
Performing at or above.
At or above a standard. Standard is like, this is nothing less than this.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. No, that'll be, it'll be fun to talk to you a year from now or 6 months from now and see how that's all going, And I like how you said that's a whole new part of fun for you. When you're in business for that long, you do have to kind of recreate and reinvent and get reasons to, or have reasons to be excited. So that'll be really cool.
Completely.
So,
I've had times when I wanted to light the match and toss it and like walk into the street, trust me. But
just
you
watch
gotta
it
keep
explode
reinventing
behind
yourself.
you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
so with your staff and with yourself, Jennifer, how do you keep yourself motivated? Like, I know that you're working towards those standards, and that's going to be really exciting. But in the past, like, how have you taken action? I mean, a lot of us are idea people. Oh, we've got a great idea. Okay, now what? Like, how do you keep that rolling? How do you keep your staff going in that circumstance?
so
Lots of caffeine.
No, actually, it's interesting. I think this answer is going to surprise most people.
Okay.
About 5 or 6 years ago, I hired a genius business coach, Kelly Townsend, and leaders team. And one of the first things she had our team do was create a charter. And a charter is like something you're living into. Okay. So I'll give you an example. You get married, you're standing at the altar. You say, I promise to love, honor, and cherish.
Yep.
You're creating a future that you're living into. Now, then you get married, you make a promise to it. You give your word to it. Now, are you always love, honoring, and cherishing? Hell no. You're not always love, honoring, and cherishing. But you gave a promise that you can be held to if you allow people to hold you to your word. So what she had us do was create a charter, and we created it together. It took us about 6 months. And there were times when I thought, this is costing me an enormous amount of money to have all these people sitting in a room creating this charter. But it ended up being so impactful, and I'd be happy to share it in the comments or whatever if anybody wants to see it. But it basically tells us, it reminds us of the promise that we have that we want to fulfill on, that we all gave our word to because we were excited about it. And the last line of the charter says, business is thriving with each team member sharing in our success, all while building relationships that last a lifetime. And then we all yell, this is our best year ever. And we do that every week, every Tuesday. And anytime there's a real problem, like I actually had my first ever client complaint the other day in 26 years. And wow. I was so shocked. We were all so surprised. Me personally, they complained about me. And so I was like, what? Of course, my first reaction was like, they don't know what they're talking about, whatever. And Lake, who is a big asset in our studio, she goes, you know what? Before you call her back, why don't you read the charter? And I was like, that's a really good idea. So I read the charter. It changed how I was about to handle this because I was going to be a little defensive and a little trying to prove her wrong and all that stuff. And instead, I really just got, let me see, what can I learn from this? What did I do? And we were able to pinpoint it. She thought I was rude to my photographer because I lost my hearing in one ear and I couldn't hear him. And he kept trying to tell me something. And I finally stopped and I went, I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you. And that for her set a tone that she was like surprised by that. And then she thought I was rude and, so.
Interesting.
But the charter has been magical and quite the surprise. The Declaration of Independence is a charter. Just to give you an idea, it's like, how do we stay America? Well, we have the Declaration of Independence. I mean, I don't want to get political, but it's a charter. Yeah. And it keeps us straight. And it's fascinating.
Yeah, I would love to see that, Jennifer. I think that's really cool. And I love how you along with your staff, did that prior to getting involved in the phone call, because that's very true. I mean, we're all human. We're all going to make mistakes at one point. It's inevitable. But how you handle that is going to set the stage for the rest of your complete relationship with that client.
Got it back to zero.
Yeah, and you can go over the top, and that's the opportunity to not only fix it or address it, but to make it positive. And I think that's really what separates a good business from a great business.
So thank you.
Yeah, that's very cool. Most people that I have had the honor of talking to in this field for the last 25 years have a why. They're photographers for a reason. Something has occurred in their life. It's been a passion for them. It's been a connection to something in their past. Like what is your why?
Well, 26 years ago, I wanted my dad to be successful. So I jumped in to get to support him.
Okay.
And I learned, and then I started to see, so it's more like his why. And then as it's developed over the years, I realized that there are so few things in life that allow you to live in a happy bubble. And now my whole team, we're always aware that we are literally in a happy bubble. And people who are coming in they're celebrating something. They're in love. They're at some milestone in their life. And this is a little deep or philosophical or however you want to call it. But, we all want to know we're doing okay.
Yeah.
We all want to know that in life, we're measuring up. Life is going pretty good. So when I think about the moms or the dads or whoever they come in, let's say just for a family portrait, for that time that they're in front of the camera, they're really hoping to prove something to themselves, even that this is going well. Like, look at this family I created.
Right.
Look at how much we love each other. So it's so fulfilling to be able to help provide that for someone. And we can tell in our Google reviews and our comments and people coming back and stuff like that, that's actually what we're fulfilling. So it feels really like a real honor to be able to do that. And so now that's why. And that's why.
And to bring that full circle, you're building things.
And I'm building things, because guess what I'm building? I'm building a system that will allow us to train photographers, because I have a whole thing about that. That's probably another conversation about photographers. They love what they do, but they don't have 26 years into the thinking like I do about how to make sure they're making money and that the client understands this is, all that stuff. So I really have a bigger vision of people wanting to work at my studio so that they can get the training, so that they can provide that for people consistently and make a really good living, whether they're at my studio or whether it's the future for them.
Right.
So
That's awesome. So if you could give one piece of advice in closing here today for everybody who's watching, cherry picked out of the last 26 years, Jennifer, what would it be?
Yeah. Photography is a business, and you can love it and all that stuff has to go along with it. But at the end of the day, it's a business. And the more you structure it like a business, the more you're going to be able to enjoy it. And your team or your assistant or whoever you have is going to be able to enjoy it, and your clients are going to be able to enjoy it. I think so often, so much thought goes into, like when I go to imaging or I go to some of these places, there's so much thought into the actual photography part. And that's wonderful because we need it. But not enough is put up front about the business. It's a business first.
Right.
I couldn't agree with you more. So along that same line, and then I'll let you go here, if you've made a mistake over the last 26 years.
Is there one of those that pops out that you can save people from
mistakes? Yeah. The mistake I made, I alluded to it earlier, is I wasn't straight with people when they were doing something that did not work on the team. I wasn't straight because I was afraid to lose them. I was afraid to upset them. I wasn't straight. I would tolerate things like the person who's doing the bookings not really returning phone calls. I would tolerate that by, oh, what's going on? I was too like a mom or a best friend I did that for way too long. And now that I'm not doing that, the difference is just enormous. I had to get over my own fear, because when I worked for my dad, he would, his way was like, boom, boom, boom. And it was hard. I got told a lot of things I didn't like that were nasty. So I was trying not to do that to people, but I went too far the other way.
Yeah.
And so that is a no more. And my team won't let me do it anymore either, because they know it doesn't work.
Well, that's awesome.
Well, this has been fantastic, Jennifer. I really appreciate you taking time out of your vacation day to help us out with that. This is awesome. And definitely share that charter with me. I would love to see it, and I'm sure that once this airs, we'll have people asking about that. And if you're okay with sharing it, that would be fantastic.
Absolutely. I'm definitely okay with sharing it.
Awesome.
Anything.
Well, enjoy.
I'm an open book.
Awesome. Well, enjoy your day. We appreciate you so much, and we'll talk with you, I'm sure, very soon.
I'll see you at imaging probably.
Absolutely. We'll see you there. Thank you.